Good day. I wanted to take some time to talk about one of the more common issues I get asked about, and that's work hours and overtime pay. So, if we look at our contract, we can see it's Article 7, and there's some various clauses throughout that, 5 of them, and I'll walk you through those, and then add on some additional comments to help you make better decisions regarding that. Okay, so Article 1 is just the foundation for the work hours, saying that our hours are Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and any hours outside of Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, must be overtime in accordance with the articles later on, Articles 3 and 4. It also states that a break must be given in accordance with the Labor Standards Act. With our shift, 8 hours, your school must provide you with a minimum of 30 minutes break to meet the labor standards law. So most schools we know have extended lunch periods, and you'll have an hour, hour and a half lunch, so there's no issue. But if there were events going on, or you had special duties, such as maybe crowd control in the cafeteria, or monitoring students during lunchtime, they still have to give you a 30-minute break. There's no way that they can make you work the entire 8 hours. So this is added in there for your protection, to make sure that you have that break. Okay. Article 2, or Clause 2 in Article 7, reinforces the regular hours, but mentions the possibility that these can be changed. Now, this isn't common, but one that I have seen is just a small adjustment, usually for elementary school teachers, where they would adjust the hours from 9 to 5 to 8:30 to 4:30, just to better coincide with the schedule when it is often starting earlier for elementary. So the hours are still the same at 8 hours a day, so they shouldn't adjust your schedule, or they can't adjust your schedule to say, oh, you're going to work from 9 to 7 every day. That's our hours. They cannot do that. Okay, because your contract is 9 to 5, so they should adjust it so it kind of mirrors that. Okay. Article 3 states that anything over 22 hours, teaching hours in 1 week, must be overtime. I think the first thing to be, what is important to understand is what is an actual teaching hour. So elementary, middle, and high school can vary slightly. So elementary, a 40-minute class is 1 teaching hour, 45 for middle, and 50 minutes for high school. So if you work a 50-minute, 45, or 40-minute class, that is 1 teaching hour. Your school can't add up all of your 40-minute classes to factor in how many hours it is. Each class, even though 40 minutes, is 1 teaching hour. If we look at something like an adult class or a co-teacher workshop that we do in the afternoons, often they're about an hour and a half, we would use a comparable scale where that hour and a half would break down into 2 45-minute classes, or 2 40-minute classes plus a break. So again, that would be 2 teaching hours, and they also work towards your teaching hours. Okay. Additionally, this 22 hours is per week, not a month. Each week is looked at individually. So even if I have 5 hours 1 week and the next hour I have 23, on that week where I have 23 hours, I should be paid overtime for that additional 1 hour. Okay, the overtime rate is 20,000 Korean won in those 9 to 5 working hours, Monday to Friday. Outside of those hours, we see in Article 7, Clause 4, we can see that it should be paid either with the school's overtime rate. They may have a special rate that is higher than 20,000 for evening or weekend work. And it needs to be paid in accordance to that, or the labor standards law, which basically designates a minimum amount that you must be paid according to your salary. So it factors in your hourly salary for the entire month, and then they're saying that you should get paid that or the school's rate, whatever of the two is more favorable to you, the employee. You should get paid the one that is better for you. Okay, so it actually works in our favor. So that evening or weekend, if we were ever to work those, can actually be more than the 20,000 that we get in the 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. Okay. Article 5 or Clause 5 touches on non-instructional hours, whatever they are. It's hard to define, but usually maybe just supervision or something like that. We normally don't do them as a native teacher, but if we were asked to do them, again, this must be paid within the Labor Standards Act. So again, it's about our hourly salary, which would probably be anywhere from 15 to 20,000 Korean won. In the past, they used to have an amount 6,000 Korean won for non-instructional hours, and then schools might try to pay you that even when you're teaching. But now they have to do it in accordance to the labor law. The 6,000 at the time was the minimum wage, and that's why that was chosen, even though it seems very low. And even though the minimum wage has gone up a little bit, maybe it's about 9,000 won, still with the labor standards law, we would actually be getting more with 15 to 20,000 roughly. I hope that clears the things up a little bit. I want to just make a note that, I'm not saying that OT or overtime is discouraged. A lot of the teachers want to work it because they want additional money. They don't mind doing the extra work. But I have to kind of do it with a warning, because the limit of 22 teaching hours a week is set at 22 because it's kind of a steady work week if you're having 22. If you had 22 and a lot of those were different classes that required prep, it would be a lot of work. If you didn't require a lot of different prep, meaning maybe you had 3 different grades and you taught them, 8 classes or something each, you'd only have to prep 3 different lessons. Overtime would be a lot easier. So you need to look at your situation to see whether you can do it and whether you want to do it. You can refuse it. Now, I think refusing is okay, especially if it's a lot of overtime. If it's 1 or 2 hours, I think maybe, considering your schedule, you might be able to do it. And I even almost recommend doing it if it helps out with the school, but letting them know that this is your limit and you do not want to exceed that, because sometimes they can try to take advantage of you. Okay, so 1 or 2 are fine, but anything over that is just going to get too tiresome. And what you really need to worry about is the cumulative kind of effects of doing too much over a long period of time. The first couple weeks it may seem fine, but a couple months in it can get very difficult. The other thing I often see is you may get asked to do like a one-time change. There were some classes missed in the week previous for a field trip, and they want to make sure the kids get the hours, so they want you to do this one class this week that you don't normally have, and now it puts you into overtime. Personally, for a one-time change, I will do it, but I will let them know, okay, I know this should be overtime if it's over the 22, but I'll do it this time, but next time it should be overtime. That way, if it becomes a regular thing, they know I'm going to be looking for overtime. So they're going to be they're more hesitant to ask me to do that, because they don't want to pay overtime often. Okay, it's a fine line we have to walk. We want to be cooperative with our schools, but we want them to, uphold our contract, which, many people view as our main protection. We do have the option of refusing, but we know if we do, it can affect our relationship. So each, scenario has to be kind of looked at, and, you can always feel free to discuss them with me, and I can help you making your decision. Okay? Anyway, I hope that clears up a little bit on OT and our work hours.